Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. There's been significant flooding in spots. We had it yesterday in Colombia. We had some record daily rainfall amounts in Puerto Rico with over 6 inches of rain in some locations. We've had heavier rain northeastern Caribbean, but Central America and right back through Colombia. There's been the flash flooding. That is of most concern. We're thinking of you if you, of course, are dealing with that. Now, almost all of the models have this developing into either a tropical depression or a tropical storm. Next name on the list is Patty, so it is more likely that Patty forms. The American model has this area eventually becoming a tropical storm. European has this becoming a tropical depression, which is right below tropical storm status. I want to show you the potential tracks for this. The Canadian model, tropical storm. Icon German model, a tropical depression. We'll go model by model specifically and the time frame for all of this. But the high concern, thinking and praying for you, of course, if you're dealing with some of the very significant flooding that is ongoing. And that's why I've been highlighting this now for about 10 days, right? And now we're seeing it in these rain totals continue to stack up. You can see across Central America, we've had scattered rain. There's that batch close to the ABC Islands. Keep me posted if you get some rain. Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire. There's that pocket in Colombia. And look at this. A lot of that rain still scattered about U.S. British Virgin Islands. We've had it near St. Kitts and Nevis. I've been watching Anguilla. Let me know your location, what you've been getting the last few days in the comments section as we build this weather community together to help other people, to let other people know what's going on. And then eventually this builds back to the west. So Haiti, the Dominican Republic, we're going to see an additional chance of rain working its way back toward Jamaica, Cuba, and the Cayman Islands. There is so much going on. So let me kind of spell this out. At least in the short term, we are in action mode still. Even in Jamaica, even though we're going to have a lot of sunshine at times, we're going to see a lot of this start to build back our way. Haiti, the Dominican Republic, high concern for flooding and the chance that this area does develop. The American model wants to turn this into a tropical storm and kind of swing it up near Haiti and the Dominican Republic early next week. So taking any precautions we can, or at least just getting the awareness out there that we have that high risk of flooding. If you haven't seen it already, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands, and the Turks and Caicos, eastern end of Cuba, and watching Jamaica. And I know other spots, as I was mentioning, near St. Martin, for example, we've had some of the rain. So still St. Kitts and Nevis, we're right on the edge of some of that heavier rain, but please use caution, especially with those river crossings. Now, what are the models showing, and kind of what am I seeing with this, and what am I thinking to kind of help you plan ahead? Well, a lot of this tries to develop deeper into the weekend and more so next week. The American model has this area, it's almost two areas, and I'll show you that in the model in a moment. But it has this area trying to spin up into a tropical storm, pushing heavier rain into Haiti and the Dominican Republic early next week, Monday into Tuesday, and then swinging what looks to be kind of a sloppy system, maybe not a named system with the interaction from Cuba, just back toward the west across Cuba with heavy rain. But this is going to mean a lot of heavier rain. But the American model does have this becoming tropical storm Patty. Now jumping over into the European model, has this area becoming a tropical depression, a little bit more of a westerly track on this. This would bring some heavier rain back to Cuba by the time we get into later in the weekend, but more so next week. Cayman Islands, or Jamaica rather, Cayman Islands and Cuba, and over near the Yucatan Peninsula, watching Belize to the north, just kind of drifting a sloppy rainmaker with some gustier winds back into the Gulf of Mexico by early to mid next week. Now, the Canadian model has this becoming a tropical storm. It was having this become a hurricane for days and days. It's backed off on some of that, and that's why I've been leading a little bit more to the European model, and that's been working out. The American model's been off. It would have already been a hurricane at this point if the American model was right. It would have already been a hurricane if the Canadian model was right. The European model has done the best job on this, but the Canadian model does have this kind of working to the west, some area near Jamaica, Cayman Islands, potentially becoming a tropical storm near the Cayman Islands, Cuba, and then lifting up as a weaker tropical storm into the Gulf of Mexico. I want to show you one more model and then expand these out for you. Here's the Icon German model, has this just swinging big batch of rain up near Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and Cuba as potentially a tropical depression once we get into next week. So early to mid next week, that's when we should start to see some development. Here's the American model. It's kind of showing two areas. The one area near Colombia and the ABC Islands, and the other area that's near Puerto Rico. And it may want to merge these, or it may almost try to develop them separately. We need to wait and see. There's so much going on in the atmosphere. Not really a typical pattern this time of year. Once you get into the fall season, season. Things are so dynamic. By that I mean there's so many different ingredients to take into account. So here on Sunday, and you can see this is the biggest concern, still that surge of rain. Look at Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. More rain than Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, more rain. So one surge here lifting up to the north, another one coming in from the west. So we'll see that rain chance increasing Sunday. Turks and Caicos, Cuba, eastern Cuba, back through the Bahamas. Now it tries to kind of gel these together, but what it does right here, here's Haiti on Monday. The American model has this becoming briefly a tropical storm Patty, working its way into Haiti and the Dominican Republic on Monday. Even if it's not a named storm, I'm not as concerned about the name. I'm more concerned about the rain. So regardless if this gets a name or not, we're going to see a lot of rain. Haiti, Dominican Republic, thinking of you, if you're trying to get out there and get some water, that sort of thing. We're going to see rock slides and mudslides. So please spread the word. You don't need to subscribe. I just want the proper word out that we have a huge rainmaker coming in. Haiti, Dominican Republic, still into Puerto Rico. And then by next week, this is Tuesday, whatever the system is, name or no name, kind of drifting off to the west. High pressure is a blocker to the north, so that rain increase in Cuba, Bahamas, scattered about Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and then eventually the American model by the middle and end of next week brings some sort of sloppy system, maybe not a named system at this point, but a general storm system around, working its way back toward the Gulf of Mexico. But we need to keep an eye on back behind it. There's going to be additional areas to watch for development. It's not just one spot. There's going to be several spots. November is going to be active. So we've got this one spot here, but look at all this rain near the Eastern Caribbean building again. So we could have one kind of sloppy rainmaker moving its way into the Gulf of Mexico here by Thursday of next week, so about 6 days from now, but a couple more spots to keep an eye out for some development. So some of the models are hinting at these trying to spin up, but regardless, this is what I want to stress, regardless if this is a named system or not, or if these become named systems, look at this map. There is so much rain. This is going to be life-threatening rain amounts. We've already had that in some locations, and we're going to be seeing this as we work our way forward, the life-threatening flooding. Not for all of us, but for some of us with this rain. And you see by next weekend, this isn't tomorrow, this would be next weekend, so about 7-8 days from now, a few more spots either with heavy rain or that may try to eventually develop into a tropical storm. We'll be watching near Barbados in St. Lucia and points to the north to see if anything wants to spin up. Water temperatures are very warm. I'll show you those in a moment. That's why we could have some development deep into November. November starting out very active. Here's the European model. Bahamas here, Jamaica right here, Trinidad and Tobago here, Puerto Rico here, just to orient you. Here's that rain, Colombia, back through Costa Rica and Panama. Here's that rain near Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, Virgin Islands over toward Puerto Rico. High pressure, the blocker. That's keeping everything in place. Nothing could really escape up to the north. It's just kind of hanging around. Now, the European model is slower with development, which has been correct. And that's why days ago, I've been leaning to this model. And so far, so good, but showing that very heavy rain still in the Caribbean. This here would be by Sunday. We have the blocker up to the north. Now, eventually, these fronts coming across the U.S. starting to work in. We'll try to help kind of pull this area a little bit more back toward the northwest. Everything is going to rotate around the area of high pressure that's essentially sitting over Bermuda. So we're locked into this pattern. Sometimes patterns just get stuck, and that's what we have. So you can see here's Cuba, here's Jamaica. This is by Monday. Monday, it shows some sort of development with this. So did the American model. It was making it a tropical storm in Haiti. The European model showing maybe a tropical depression trying to form and working its way near Jamaica and then pushing off toward the Cayman Islands. High pressure in control, and around this you have this clockwise flow. So what this moisture is doing is just rotating around this area of high pressure, just kind of filtering in, and then will eventually lift from the Caribbean back into the Gulf of Mexico. So this is the pattern we're going to have for days and days. Now we'll see if this does develop. You see that little spot there, that L. When you see the L on the map, that means a significant area of low pressure, which means basically a storm system trying to form if it hasn't already. This here is by Tuesday. Look at that heavy rain potentially on top of Jamaica. That's why we're in action mode, just kind of making some of the preps for the potential of some flooding. We'll see if it pans out, but we have that risk. And then as we work our way deeper into next week, this is by Wednesday of next week, the front up to the north, kind of helping to drag this a little bit more to the north near there, the Cayman Islands and Cuba. Could be a tropical depression, maybe tropical storm Patty at this point. There's the area of high pressure, not really changing much. So all of this moisture just gradually working around that. And we could get clipped by maybe a tropical storm right near the Yucatan Peninsula. And then by the end of next week, this is a week from now, this area works its way into the Gulf. If it moves into the Gulf as a weak system, I don't expect it to develop much further because the water temperatures are cool in the Gulf of Mexico. But you see here showing in the Bay of Campeche, western Gulf of Mexico, some sort of system as we work our way into about a week from now. And you can see actually once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, the European model does show some weakening. This is over a week from now, just because those water temperatures are cool and there's going to be a lot of wind shear, winds above our heads that can knock off the tops of rain and storms. So it's usually not favorable in the Gulf of Mexico this time of year or conducive for development, which is good. I don't root for storms to form, so that is a good thing. And you can see it here. The water temperatures in the Caribbean, very warm, 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Gulf of Mexico, though, 27 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's borderline for tropical development itself. So if something works its way into the Gulf, I don't expect it to intensify in the Gulf. If anything, it would hold steady or actually decrease in intensity because of the cooler water and the wind shear that I just mentioned. Now, Jamaica, as of now, we're going to still see those scattered areas of rain. The next 3 days, we're going to have some totals, not for all of us, some totals could be around 4 inches or 100 millimeters of rain. But by early next week, if the European model is right, it's going to develop an area, try to develop an area nearby and bring in more rain. So once we get into Monday and Tuesday, that flood potential for us in Jamaica could get higher. So thank you for getting the word out about that. Haiti, Dominican Republic, a little bit of a break right now, but all that rain that's near the Virgin Islands is going to kind of swing back into our direction. So once we get deeper into the weekend and especially on Monday, we're going to see those higher totals. Short term still, some spots 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain, but the American model had a tropical storm developing and moving in. But remember, whether the American or European is right, we're going to see, regardless which one is right, we're going to see additional rain, especially Monday into Tuesday, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So thank you for getting the word out about that flood threat. Now we're watching this rain that's been nearby the Virgin Islands and nearby Puerto Rico, and it's going to kind of swing its way back toward the west. You see some of these red shadings showing up again. That's 8 inches of rain or about 200 millimeters of rain. It may be over here, maybe it's over here, or maybe over here, but the high potential of rain. And this forecast has panned out. Yesterday in Puerto Rico, as I mentioned, we had some spots get around 6 inches of some rain. So we could see an additional 8 in some locations over the next 3 days. Use those precautions. And then Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Barts, Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, even Montserrat. Days and days I've been mentioning how we are right on the edge of it, right? Some of us may get some rain and island and flooding, and then an island over, not quite as much. I want to get back to more of those rain totals in a minute. Here's that closer look right now, though. Turks and Caicos, Bahamas right here. Watching the Bahamas. If anything does try to spin up and move in, I'll give you the heads up. But southern Bahamas especially, we're eventually going to see more of that rain. So this is today, scattered about to widespread. We had some strong downpours in parts of Belize yesterday. We could see that again today, just kind of around the horn here, back through parts of Central America, northwestern sections of South America. So we get back through Colombia, and there's that pocket of rain here. This shows you the rain. Look at tomorrow. Not much of a change, and that's a problem because where we get the rain, we're going to be getting it again. This here is on our Saturday, some of the same spots. Yeah, on the flip side, it's good. The cistern's getting full. Panama Canal, we're doing better, but this is a little bit too much too quickly for a lot of us. That's why we had that flash flooding yesterday in Colombia, and then this moisture kind of gets thrown back to the west or kind of lifting to the north and just all starts to work its way back to the west. So eventually, I mentioned Haiti, Dominican Republic, Sunday and early next week, that rain chance bumps up, and then it will bump up Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and Cuba as all of this area moves to the west. Now, this is the American model, and it does want to take this little pocket here near the ABC Islands, lift it up toward Haiti and the Dominican Republic as a named system, as a tropical storm as soon as Monday. Tomorrow morning when I join you, I'll have a good handle on if that is right. But either way, we have the rain moving in, and that is the number one concern with the flooding. So if this area does eventually get a name, the name on the list is Patty. But I showed you earlier, there's a few little areas back behind it that could also spin up. So the next couple of names after Patty, Raphael, Sarah, Tony, Valerie, and William, we may see a few name systems as we go over the couple weeks. And it's not good that we are so wet now in some spots. Now the seas are going to be elevated around this area of high pressure. Those strong swells moving in across the Bahamas, near Haiti, the DR on the Atlantic side, same thing as we work our way toward Puerto Rico. The choppier seas, the higher seas, you can see some of those around 4.5 meters. So we're looking at around 13, even 14 feet in some spots. And then we'll see things building through the Caribbean. This here is by Monday. And then even in the Gulf of Mexico, eventually this rain will move in. We're going to get choppier early next week, and especially by the middle of next week back in the Gulf of Mexico. So watching a few areas with the elevated seas, thinking of our boaters or anyone who has any interest on the water. Now on the Pacific side, a new area to watch on the eastern Pacific side. So here we are in Mexico. Here's Guatemala and El Salvador. Look what happens. Here's Hawaii, right? We've been watching a couple of these areas out here, not seeing huge signs of development. Slight chance these do spin up into a tropical storm. But with that said, here's Hawaii. This stuff over here could actually work its way back toward Mexico. So next week, we may actually see a system in the eastern Pacific not just shoot away over water like these couple areas here. Hawaii, I think we're in good shape. These are going to continue to weaken. But look at these areas here closer to the coastline. That little pocket in particular right there, see how it kind of builds back? It's not moving this way. So my friends in Mexico, I'll be watching this just to see if this develops and if this starts to work its way up toward Mexico deeper into next week. So I'll be watching that too. So we've got an area of interest that we're watching on the eastern Pacific side. Here's Bermuda, high pressure parked overhead. That is, some of us have been so wet in this kind of stuck pattern. Others have been drier in this stuck pattern. There's the area of high pressure keeping all that rain down toward the Caribbean. Atlantic region of Canada, yeah, we've been watching these fronts moving by, and look at that, watching out for these systems across the North Atlantic. Some of them kind of almost subtropical in nature. Wouldn't be surprised if one or two get a name up toward the North Atlantic. That is possible. Those continue to work their way off toward parts of Europe, but these fronts that will be passing by this here is Sunday, looking good, but on the chillier side, that colder air has been wrapping around these fronts, Atlantic region of Canada. So went over some of the rain totals. Short-term Bahamas, not much in the way in the rain bucket. I'm going to be watching the southern Bahamas once this rain starts to work in. Cayman Islands, short-term, we could maybe get an inch of rain if you happen to get a passing shower or storm the next 2 days, but it's going to be next week that we'll get those higher concerns. Same thing in Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, over toward the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, Antigua, Barbuda, and Anguilla. I've been highlighting that. We showed you this map earlier. South of here, it is not nearly as wet, but looking long term, we could see that another kind of secondary area next week form, not even form, but just kind of be around Barbados. So we may see that chance of rain southeastern Caribbean really increasing deeper into next week. Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, mainly dry, but some of these pockets, look at these brighter colors showing up. Costa Rica and Panama, we'll see if they're just offshore or onshore, but we could at least some of the reds, yellows, we could have some totals of 200 millimeters of rain or 8 inches of rain. Still the scattered areas of rain across Belize, over toward the east side of the Yucatan Peninsula. Mexico City, isolated chance of a shower. So we'll stay unsettled in Jamaica. Not all of us are going to get the rain the next couple of days, but if you do, you may get some downpours, and we're going to be on the outlook for the better chance of rain once we get into next week. Same thing in the Cayman Islands. Once we get into next week, that's when the rain chance will be higher. Next few days, Trinidad and Tobago, we're looking at an isolated chance of a shower. Barbados, about a 40% chance for the next couple of days, 30 to 40% chance across St. Lucia, 20% chance. That's it today in Grenada. And if you're on the drier side, we are on the hotter side. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 30 to 40% chance through the weekend. 30% chance today in Martinique, a 40% chance tomorrow. Tomorrow, as we work our way into Dominica, about a 50% chance. We could get a couple of those passing showers. Guadeloupe, 40 to 50% chance. And then, of course, to the north, that higher chance of rain on the edge of it. Antigua, Barbuda, the next 2 days, a 60% chance. St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat, monitoring that chance of flooding. Rain chances on the elevated side. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. 70% chance today in Anguilla and St. Bart's. 60% chance tomorrow, down to about a 50% chance on Sunday. Same thing, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. If you're getting those downpours, let me know in the comments. 80% chance in Puerto Rico. This moisture is going to start to move back toward Puerto Rico. We actually have a little break right now. Maybe that rain chance will be a little lower today, but then it's going to pick up again, and we have that very unsettled weather around over toward the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Bahamas, not much now. Southern Bahamas will get that better chance next week. Turks and Caicos Sunday into Monday. The rain chance will be getting higher. Dominican Republic and Haiti, a bit of a break, still unsettled with about a 50 to 60% chance of rain. But Monday and Tuesday, that's when those higher rain amounts will start to work in. Belize, a 50% chance, some of us dry. But if you do get some rain, we're looking at that chance of some downpours and some isolated pockets of flooding. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, our rain chance is going to be higher the next couple days. We'll just kind of monitor these showers that are just off to the west, moving in, so that rain chance higher. Let me know how you're doing. Guyana, that rain chance is on the lower side. Just a 10 to 20% chance in Suriname. Rain chance about 30% in Cuba, but we'll see all that moisture from the east starting to work across once we get into next week. Costa Rica, Panama, I've been mentioning those very high rain totals for some of us. And again, watching out for those rock slides, those mudslides. Nicaragua, 50% chance of rain. Honduras, about a 50 to 60% chance the next couple days, and about a 60% chance today. Guatemala and El Salvador, 20 to 30% chance the next few days in Mexico City, about a 40% chance in the Yucatan Peninsula, more so on the Caribbean side. Northern Colombia, of course, the flooding that was ongoing yesterday, still seeing some of that as we go through the day today. Please be safe. Thank you for getting the word out. 30% chance northern Venezuela, and with high pressure parked on top of Bermuda, we are mainly dry. So the higher chance that this area does eventually develop, and it will eventually move its way off toward the west. But the big issue is those rain amounts that just continue to stack up, that flood threat, watching the dangerous rivers, and those mudslides. So a super active start to November. I wish it was quieter. I know some of us need the rain, but this is going to be way too much for some of us. So I'm going to be trying to pinpoint that best I can through the weekend into next week, island by island. And on top of all of the rain, Patty could be forming. Got you covered best I can. Be safe. Have a good rest of your day.